If your Excel formula should spill a list but nothing happens, you're usually dealing with one thing. Something is blocking the spill range. The tricky part is that Excel doesn't always make the blocker obvious. You might expect a hash spill error, but instead you get a single value, a blank result, or a formula that looks stuck. In this walkthrough, you'll learn a reliable way to diagnose spill conflicts fast. We'll cover the most common blockers, like hidden content, merged cells, and tables. We'll also talk about cases where spill is disabled by the worksheet structure, not the formula. And we'll fix the situations where hash spill appears, but the suggested fix doesn't work. By the end, you'll have a simple checklist you can run every time dynamic arrays misbehave. That means less guessing, fewer rebuilds, and formulas that expand the way you intended. Next step. Let's quickly lock in what spill means, because it explains every fix. Dynamic array formulas return more than one result. Instead of forcing you to copy a formula down, Excel tries to place the full set of results into neighboring cells automatically. That output area is the spill range. The top left cell holds the formula, and the rest of the spill range is filled by Excel. If even one cell in that target area can't be used, Excel stops the spill. Sometimes you'll see hash spill, which is Excel saying, "I can't place the results." Other times you won't get that message, because the formula you wrote isn't actually returning an array anymore, or the location you pasted into can't support spilling. So the core mindset is simple. Your formula is fine until proven otherwise. First, confirm Excel is allowed to place results in the cells it needs. Next step. Start with the fastest diagnostic habit. Click the cell with the formula and look for the spill range outline. If Excel can calculate an array but can't place it, you'll typically get dash spill and a highlighted target area. If you don't see an outline, that's a clue too. It may mean the formula is only returning one value, or you're working inside a structure that prevents spilling. Next, check the size of the expected result. Functions like filter, sort, unique, sequence, and XLOOKUP can all return arrays. If your logic can produce many rows, assume Excel needs a clear rectangle of empty cells. Also remember that empty in Excel can be deceptive. A cell can look blank but still contain a space, an apostrophe, or a formula returning an empty string. Those count as occupied and can block spill. So your first pass is always confirm the expected spill area and verify it's truly clear. Next step. The number one cause of spill conflicts is simple content in the way. A value, a formula, or even a single character in any cell of the spill range will block the entire output. The cleanest fix is to clear the blocking cells, not delete the whole area blindly. If you clear too much, you might remove notes, helper formulas, or existing data you still need. A safer approach is to temporarily move the dynamic array formula to an empty area and see if it spills correctly there. If it does, your formula is fine and the original location is the issue. Then you can decide whether to relocate the formula permanently or make space by shifting existing content. Also watch for cells with formulas that return a blank string. They look empty, but they're not empty. Replacing those with truly blank cells often resolves a mysterious spill problem immediately. Next step. Next, deal with the blockers that hide in plain sight. Merged cells are a classic example. A merged region counts as a structural object, and dynamic arrays can't spill into it cleanly. Even if the merged cell looks like one big empty space, Excel treats it differently. The fix is usually to unmerge the area in the spill range. Then redesign the layout using alignment options like center across selection instead of merging. Another hidden blocker is formatting that came from copied ranges, especially when it includes data validation, conditional formats, or stray characters. Formatting alone usually doesn't block spill, but it often travels with invisible content. A quick test is to select the suspected spill area and use clear contents, not clear all. If spill starts working, you've confirmed it was content, not formatting. Then you can reapply only the formatting you actually need. Next step. Excel tables are another big reason spill appears not working. A dynamic array formula can exist near a table, but it can't spill into a table's structured area. Tables have their own rules for filling formulas down, and Excel prevents a spill range from overlapping them. If your formula is placed inside a table column, Excel may try to convert it into a single row formula, or it may block the spill entirely. The fix is straightforward. Move the dynamic array formula outside the table, or convert the table to a normal range if you truly need spilling through that area. If you still want table benefits like headers and banded rows, consider keeping the table but placing the spill output next to it, then referencing the spilled range. That way you keep structure and still get dynamic results. Next step. Now let's cover a confusing case. You get #spill, but the range looks empty. This is where not truly empty shows up again. Cells containing a single space, a leading apostrophe, or a non-breaking space from copied web text will block spill. Another culprit is a formula returning an empty string. Excel still treats that as occupied. A practical way to detect this is to select the spill area and use Find to search for a space character. Also try Go to Special for constants or formulas to reveal what's really there. If you find lots of invisible clutter, the fastest cleanup is to copy the spill area, paste values into a temporary sheet, then clear the original area's contents carefully. After that, paste back only what you need. The goal is to restore truly blank cells where the array needs to land. Next step. Another spill conflict comes from workbook protection and locked cells. If the spill range includes cells you can't change, Excel can't place the results there. That can happen on protected sheets or in shared templates where some columns are locked. The fix isn't to fight the formula. It's to either unprotect the sheet, unlock the spill destination cells, or move the formula to an area intended for dynamic output. Also, watch for scenarios where the spill range crosses into a different section with different permissions. Even one locked cell will stop the entire spill. If you're building a model for others, it's a good practice to reserve a dynamic output zone that stays unlocked and unmerged. That single design choice prevents a lot of future #spill issues. Next step. Let's talk about spill conflicts caused by other dynamic arrays. If you have two spilled ranges that would overlap, Excel has to choose, and one of them will fail. This often happens when you place a new dynamic array formula too close to an existing spill output, or when an upstream formula expands and grows into a neighbor's space. A good habit is to leave buffer columns or rows between major dynamic outputs. If you need multiple arrays to live in the same area, consider combining them into one formula with HStack or VStack, or building a single master array and then slicing it with take, drop, or choose calls. That way you control the geometry of the output. Overlap issues aren't a sign you did something wrong. They're just Excel enforcing that two arrays can't occupy the same cell. Next step. Sometimes the complaint is, I expected #spill, but I got one value. That usually means Excel is doing implicit intersection. In older behavior, Excel would take an array and return just the value from the same row or column as the formula cell. In modern Excel, dynamic arrays spill by default, but implicit intersection can still appear in certain contexts, like inside tables or when a formula is written in a way that forces a single result. Another common reason is wrapping the array in a function that collapses it, like sum, max, or index returning a single cell. So the fix here is conceptual. Confirm whether your formula truly returns multiple results at the end. If you want the full list, remove the part that aggregates it. If you want one result, then the single value is correct and spill isn't supposed to happen. Next step. Another reason spill cannot work is simply not having dynamic arrays available in that Excel environment. Some versions of Excel don't support spilling the same way, especially older perpetual licenses or certain lockdown enterprise builds. In those cases, functions like filter or unique may not exist, or they may behave differently. If you're sharing files, this matters a lot. A workbook built around dynamic arrays can break for someone on an older version, and they'll see errors or non-spilling behavior. The practical workaround is to either upgrade the environment or redesign using older tools like helper columns, pivot tables, or Power Query. If you need compatibility, build with that constraint from the start. Dynamic arrays are powerful, but they're not universally available in every Excel installation. Next step. Let's make this practical with a repeatable troubleshooting sequence you can run in under a minute. First, move the formula to a totally empty area. If it spills there, the formula is fine. Second, go back to the original location and clear contents in the expected spill rectangle. Third, check for merged cells and tables overlapping that rectangle. Fourth, confirm the sheet isn't protected and the destination cells aren't locked. Fifth, check for overlap with other spilled ranges that might expand. This order matters because it separates formula issues from layout issues quickly. And if the formula still won't spill even in an empty area, then you switch gears and inspect the formula logic, or confirm your Excel version supports dynamic arrays. Most of the time, though, the fix is step 2 or 3. Next step. Once you've fixed the immediate conflict, it's worth designing to avoid the next one. Put dynamic arrays in dedicated output zones with plenty of space. Keep those zones free of merges, tables, and manual inputs. If you need user input near the output, separate it with a clear boundary column. Also consider controlling spill size. For example, wrap a potentially huge result with take to limit rows, or use filter with an additional condition to reduce output. Another best practice is to reference spilled ranges using the hash operator, like A2 hash, so downstream formulas automatically follow the resized output. That reduces copy-paste formulas and prevents accidental overlaps. The goal is a worksheet that expects arrays to expand and shrink. When you design for that, hash spill becomes rare, and when it happens, it's easy to diagnose. Next step. To wrap this up, remember the core rule. Dynamic arrays don't fail randomly. They fail because Excel can't place the results where they need to go, or because the formula isn't returning an array at the end. If you follow the checklist, test in an empty area, clear contents, remove merges and table overlap, check protection, and prevent overlaps, you'll solve most spill conflicts quickly. And if you build a dedicated output zone and reference spilled ranges properly, you'll prevent many issues before they start. If you want one simple next step, pick one of your existing sheets and reserve a clean area for dynamic outputs. That single change makes your workbook more resilient. For a quick check-in, which spill blocker hits you most often, tables or invisible content? Leave a comment with A for tables or B for invisible content. If you want more Excel troubleshooting like this, subscribe. Subscribe to keep optimizing your workflow and get back more of your time.